Well, I want to welcome you to our program today. We have a very special guest with us. His name is Pastor Stu Martin. He is a country gospel singer. He's actually has released a number of songs, and some of his songs have gotten very high in the charts. Well, matter of fact, he's had some songs that have actually become #1 in the chart. He's from Nashville, Tennessee, and he also does a lot of mission work in Russia. But to start off with, well, first of all, Stu, just welcome to the program.
Well, thank you,
so
Pastor.
much for coming today. And at the end of the program, we're going to have him sing a couple of his songs. And so I know that you're going to find his singing to be just a delight. Well, first of all, we just want to, start talking about, okay, you are a country gospel singer.
A lot of people think Southern gospel music or country. Southern gospel more, you relate to Southern gospel more with Bill Gaither, with the Isaacs, with people like that, with groups. Country gospel is more or less taking the songs that you would hear at the Grand Ole Opry, or the type of songs you would hear at the Grand Ole Opry, but putting gospel words to it and singing with those types of melodies.
Yeah, and so how long have you been singing?
Oh gosh, probably all my life, but professionally I started singing in the 80s, singing down in Orlando, and appeared at Disney World and other places down in the Orlando area. And then I was called to Nashville by the Lord and came up here and started doing gospel music full time back in 1992. And recorded in my first album in 1994, and we had a #1 song came off of that album in 1994. And then I was called into full-time ministry in 1995.
Okay, so you've had quite a ministry of music, and so do you write your own music, or do you get...
I write music. I've written one of the songs I'm going to be singing today. I wrote or co-wrote with a pastor from down in Cleveland, Texas, and then I've recorded songs written by other songwriters that I know that are good Christian songwriters and write the kind of music that I like to sing and play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so you have been, in Nashville, and you've done a lot of recording, and you have probably recorded with some names of people that maybe are familiar to the audience here today.
Yeah, I've sang and appeared with people such as George Hamilton IV, who just went home to be with the Lord a couple of weeks ago. Some of the Grand Ole Opry stars that you probably have heard of, Roy Drusky and George Hamilton IV, Connie Smith, with Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash. I've also appeared with J.D. Sumner and the Stamps, who used to be Elvis Presley's backup group, with the Nelons and the Blackwood Brothers. Appeared with them in several other groups and singers also.
Mm-hmm. Well, one of your CDs is entitled "Can't Wait to See You," Stu Martin. And how do we go about getting your music?
There's two ways. You can call me and I can mail the CDs to you. You can get it from our website. There's ways tells you how to order. We're trying to set up the website so you can actually order directly off of the website. We don't have that on there right yet, but the website, which I'm sure they'll pass along to you and show you on the screen.
Yeah, we'll have it up on the screen
and everything. We'll have it so you'll have information on how to get a hold of me to get the songs, or to, if you'd like for me to come and sing at your church or at your some churches have nights of singing and stuff like that, and we can do that.
Yeah, what a delight it would be to have you come to to our churches. And here again, if you're looking for somebody, there's something about that country gospel music, and I know how many people just love to listen to that, and there's such a message to the music and the sound of the music. And so if you're looking for an opportunity, a concert, to gather people together from your churches and a good ministry outreach, this would be a good way of doing that. And here again, we will have up on the screen here periodically how you can get a hold of Pastor Stu and his music, but also if you'd be interested in having him come to your church, this is how you could go about it. And one of the things is that you have quite a ministry of music.
Right.
But you also have quite a ministry where you go to Russia and you are working with orphan kids?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Like I said, when in 1995, the Lord called me into full-time ministry, and I have done evangelism, and I have pastored church. But the main thing was that He wanted me to, as a missionary, sent me out as a missionary to help orphaned and disabled children. And we've worked with orphan children in countries such as the Ukraine, Bosnia, Croatia, in Mexico, Haiti, down in Brazil, in South America, and mainly in Russia. And what we've seen is and you probably, a lot of people have seen the stories and seen the TV shows about the sex trade and the drug trade and how they, especially from these countries. I think 2020 has done and 60 Minutes has done shows on how they get these kids from off the street. Well, they don't come exactly off the street. What happens is, and we've actually seen this happen in Russia, the Russian mafia sits outside these orphanages. These kids go to these orphanages, are placed in these orphanages for three reasons. One, their parents are no longer living, their parents are on drugs or alcohol, or they come from an abusive home, physical, sexual abusive home, or the parents just don't want them. And in Russia, we find that's the biggest case. The parents just don't want the kids. They don't want to be bothered with children. And so they're placed in these orphanages and schools. And so what happens, they're there until they're about 16 or 17 years old. And then at 17, to make room for others coming in, they're sent out. They get maybe a 10th grade education, and then they're handed a bag full of a couple of things, a change of clothes, and they're thrown out on the street with no place to go, no food to eat, and have no clue about what's outside that orphanage, because in 98% of the cases on these orphanages, especially in Russia, these kids live behind stone wall prisons for 16 or 17 years. Then they're just placed out on the street, and they have no clue where to go, but just outside sits cars, these black Mercedes, and all of a sudden these mafias, just like wolves coming down, scoops these kids up, takes them off, and then you never hear from them again. We're trying to change that. First thing we had to do was we had to get the government to allow us to go into these orphanages, which we've done. And we've gone in there now, and we're working with about 28 orphanages in Russia. And what we've done is that we've gone in and we bring these kids the love of Jesus Christ and the gospel of Jesus Christ to these kids.
And there's no restrictions that the government has on any of this?
No, actually.
Any resistance? Because then you think about
we
going to
did
Russia,
at the beginning,
yeah.
At the beginning, we had resistance.
Red tape you'd have to go through just to get in there, and then once you get in there, not to get into trouble.
Right. Well, it was funny. At the beginning, we had resistance because the Orthodox Church runs 90% of the orphanages in Russia. So it was resistance from the Orthodox Church, the Russian Orthodox Church, because we were considered, evangelical Christians are considered cult churches.
Oh, sure.
And so it took years, but because God chose, and that's a long story that I wish I could get into of how God chose this area of Russia to go into. But because God chose this, all of a sudden doors started opening up to us. We began to witness to the directors and the teachers in these orphanages, and we were winning them over to Jesus Christ. And then that they were starting to allow the church, the evangelical churches, to come into the orphanages, and we began to witness to the kids, and we began to show them that there's a better way of life than they would find on the street. And so now we're in the process, and we need prayer for this, of building what we call a transition home, so that every boy and every girl that comes out of this orphanage, will be able to pick them up before the mafia does, get there before the wolves, and get them into a transition home where they can have food, safe place to live, food and clothes and teaching, and we'll be able to get them past the 10th grade, out of high school, into the universities, and get them productive members of society. And we've done that on a small scale with a home for about 15 kids, and we've seen such success with it that now we want to build a home for about 250 kids.
Wow, that's amazing. And so to do this, I mean, there's obviously takes a lot of organization.
Right.
A lot of people have got to get behind this, not just in terms of organizing, but also financial support, I would think. And,
yes.
And so now, are you part of an organization, or are you?
I'm part
how
of
do you go about this?
a part of a conglomerate
Uh-huh.
of organizations. My organization is Wings of the Wind Evangelistic Ministries. We work with 10 different denominations in the United States and in Russia. We work with several denominations in Russia. We work with a group called Christian Partners Incorporated, which incorporates a lot of different evangelical groups in there. And we have taken people from Texas, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, Kentucky, Indiana. We've taken people from all over basically all over the country. We've taken to Russia to help out with the kids and to do the work. The more people we get to go, the more work we can get done.
So it's a lot of what you're looking for, well, I suppose financial contributions,
Yes.
but also it just sounds like what you need are people to go and to work. And so, like, if somebody is watching today saying, wow, this is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're looking for, I want to serve the Lord. And so there would be an opportunity for somebody to go with you then.
Sure. Let me say this. We do need financial help. It's going to take, even though Russia is still more or less a partial third world country, we have the land over there to build this home. We've got the workers over there to build this home. The workers don't mind doing it. The workers at the church don't mind doing it. We need the money to buy the material. We can build this, you'll love this, Pastor. We can build a 3,000 square foot facility in Russia, in Kaluga, Russia, for $150,000.
Wow, that's really something.
And so we're needing that money to get that facility built. How
much have you raised so far?
We've raised probably about $15,000.
15,000. So you have a ways to go.
We still have a ways to go.
Yeah. So, but then going over, how often now you?
We go
there
over once a year
once a
in
year.
May. And we usually go in May, the middle of May, because we find out that's the best time. It gets the cold out of the way. You people here in Iowa and Wisconsin, Minnesota understand about cold, and we get the cold out of the way in the middle of May, and it's before it gets too hot and the mosquitoes get too bad you can't stand it. And but that's also the last 2 weeks that the kids are in the orphanages before they're scattered out into summer camps for the summertime. And so we get a chance to get to see all the kids in the orphanages. The reason why we need people to go, not only is it's great spiritually for yourself, to see other cultures, to worship with other people in other cultures. But also because the more people we get to go, the more kids we get to see. Because of the fact that we're right now working with 28 orphanages, but in each trip we can only see 7. So if I have 3 people go, we can go to 7 of the 28 orphanages. So it takes us 4 years to get back to each of the 7. Okay. But if I got 20 people divided up into teams of 5, like that, then we can get to all the orphanages every year. So if you're a Bible college student and you want extra credit, because most colleges we work with, kids get extra credit for doing mission trips. If you want to do a good mission trip for 10 or 12 days, this is a good one to go on. Because not only are you bringing the Word of God, the gospel of Jesus Christ to these kids, but you're bringing hope and love and showing them that you really care.
Yeah, well, that sounds awfully exciting. It sounds very exciting to, as far as what you're doing, and it's exciting from the standpoint that you and your churches can get involved with this ministry, in so many ways, whether, supporting this through prayer, supporting this through
Amen
your financial donations, but if you're also saying, our church, we're really praying about, where we can go on a mission trip, as far as, that this would be one of those situations. And so I'd say, well, if you're curious and want to get more information, to be sure to contact Pastor Stu Martin. And so now he's got quite a singing ministry. He's had some music, some songs that have been #1 on the charts. And now he's given his life and his heart over to the Lord, and the Lord has now called him to be doing this ministry in Russia, working with orphan kids. And so now at this time, we are delighted because Pastor Stu Martin is going to be singing a couple of songs that are on his his CD. And so he's going to sing these songs, and I know that you're going to find this to be a real delight. And so, well, first of all, I just want to thank you so much for being on our program today. And so now I'm going to leave you with Pastor Stu Martin as he sings a couple of songs at this time.
The streets were all deserted. There was no one around. The place was dark and quiet as I drove through the town. Then I spotted an old man rocking in a chair. So I stopped to speak to him. This is what he said. Did you hear the trumpet sound? Did you see the sun come down? He took away his waiting bride in the twinkling of an eye. He lit up the eastern sky sometime around midnight. The only ones he left behind were sinners like you and I. He said, I went to church each Sunday, but I never knelt in prayer. I thought that I had made it, but I'm still sitting in this chair. Suddenly I awakened realize it was a dream. Then I fell down on my knees, crying, Lord, hear my plea. I want to hear the trumpet sound. I want to see you when you come down. I want to be with the bride that day, when we rapture and go away. See you light up the eastern sky sometime around midnight. And Lord, forgive me of my sins and don't leave me behind. I want to hear the trumpet sound. I want to see you when you come down. I want to be with the bride that day, when we rapture and go away. See you light up the eastern sky sometime around midnight. And Lord, forgive me of my sins and don't leave me behind. And Lord, forgive me of my sins and don't leave me behind. This next song I'm going to do was written by a pastor friend of mine by the name of Steve Bibbins. Steve went home to be with the Lord in 2012. But on his hospital bed, just about a week before he passed away, he called me up to the hospital and he said, Stu, I have a song I've written. I want you to record it. He says, I know I won't be here on earth to hear it sung, but I will be listening from heaven. So he gave me the song, and we went into the studio and recorded it, and we released it to radio on the anniversary of his passing 1 year later. That song went to #1 and stayed on the charts for over 9.5 months. It's a great song. It tells us about heaven. And I really, truly believe this is what Pastor Steve saw. And here it is. Can't wait to see you. Last night I dreamed of that special day when I walked the streets of gold, and standing there, waiting patiently, was the one who saved my soul. With his arms open wide for me, joy in his eyes I could see. In my dream, he was waiting just for me. And I heard Jesus say, can't wait to see the table prepared. I can't wait to see. Next to me is your chair. On the cross I died for you. With my blood I saved you. For so long I've loved you. I can't wait to see you. Are you one who's been waiting for his return from up on high? Or are you one who's felt all alone with an emptiness inside? Jesus Christ gave his life for you that you may live in heaven too. Just give your heart, 'cause he's waiting to see you too. And he's crying, can't wait to see you. The table's prepared. I can't wait to see you. Next to me is your chair. On the cross I died for you. With my blood I saved you. For so long I've loved you. I can't wait to see you. Then I said, can't wait to see you. The table's prepared. I can't wait to see you. Next to you is my chair.
Next to you is my chair.
On the cross you died for me. With your blood you saved me. For so long you loved me. I can't wait to see you. Can't wait to see you. The table's prepared. I can't wait to see you. Next to you is my chair. On the cross you died for me. With your blood you saved me. For so long you loved me. I can't wait to see you. On the cross you died for me. With your blood you saved me. For so long